Iggy Azalea is known for many things, one of which some people say is misappropriating black culture. And now, Iggy Azalea is upset with Queen Bey for the lyrics in the Lemonade album where Beyonce talks about he better call Becky with the good hair, saying that she's been called Becky many times, and it's kind of like a racial equivalent of, it's kind of like cracker, basically. And she says that it's not nice. However, if you're familiar with Iggy Azalea's Twitter or any form of social media, you'll realize that Iggy Azalea herself has many times inappropriately stereotyped people. Like, for example, she tweeted back in the day, just saw 5 black men get arrested outside of Popeyes, #damn, #stereotypes. There's a couple other instances where it said, is it wrong? I feel happy to hear Southern accents again and not Mexican ones. It, I am. Bitches in LA be stick skinny to the bone. White, black, Mexican. Okay, so maybe not Mexican. They still got the box body on lock. What do you think, Brett?
So I think that Iggy Azalea is shitty when she says things like 5 black dudes were arrested outside of Popeyes, #stereotypes. I think she's super shitty when she says like the things about women's bodies. She also said stuff about Asian women abusing fake eyelashes.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to disagree with you on saying that she said that calling a girl Becky, a white girl Becky, is the same as calling her a cracker. She says calling a white girl Becky is the same as calling a black girl Shanae.
Yes, she did say that.
And that I get.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what you're doing is you're saying that white girls have names like Becky. And I get it. And I get that joke. And I get why you do it. It is racial profiling. And if you do it backwards, it sounds really shitty. Like if I said all black women's names are Shanae. Like that's shitty, right?
So you think there's a double standard just because Iggy Azalea is white here? Like that we shouldn't be upset with Iggy Azalea?
What do you think about what I just said?
No, I 100% agree with you. I think that in any sort of racial construct, the power is obviously in the hands of whoever was not oppressed ever. So I feel like I do sometimes feel like that whole argument of like, oh, if you switch that term, that would, and if you switch that term to a different race, that would be called racist. Like the argument against blackface sometimes, for example, where they say, well, if you were putting on a white person's face, that wouldn't be racist. Well, I don't think it holds in that instance. And I don't even necessarily think that calling white girls Becky holds in this instance because I feel like there isn't any sort of powerful historical background to being called Becky.
Oh my God, Becky.
Or there's any sort of adversity that white people have been through. And because of that,
right, that's where it comes down to. It's
upset.
like blackface was a specific thing that was done intentionally.
Yeah.
It has a legacy of being like the shitty form of entertainment that was originally used to generalize black people into something ridiculous.
Yeah. I think you can make that same argument for all black girls are called Shanae.
Now watch me whip, kill it. Now watch me nay.
Would you be upset when if someone called you cracker?
But that's
you would be upset
that's
if someone
called.
But okay,
but
that's
like
a racial slur. But would you still be upset if someone called you cracker? I know you would be upset if I wouldn't. I know you would be upset if someone called you like a slang for someone called you Jew or like a slang for a Jewish person. You'd be a little bit more upset. Why? Because there's a background of years of abuse the Jewish community has taken.
That's what it is. I still think it's like what I don't want to do is throw out everything that Iggy Azalea says because she's Iggy Azalea. And it's hard to preserve that like lack of judgment when you read all the tweets that you read. I do think there is a level of shittiness to saying that like white girls are Becky and using that as a code. And I think for the reasons you said, it's less shitty than using the same device on to generalize black people and Mexican people because of the historical legacy of prolonged depression.
Here's
it's hard to reconcile that, but that's the reason why. Because I want to be fair all around, and it feels less fair. It feels more like a qualified ethics than like a pure like don't do this ever. And I think that it's more of a practical approach to like leveling the playing field, allowing those who have been oppressed to use oppressive tactics to level the playing field.
You blew my mind a little bit. Like there's nothing I can say about that, but I was going to say that if you're trying to be funny and you want to use something as sensitive as race, like Iggy Azalea has done in her previous tweets when she's trying to be funny. I don't think she's outright trying to be racist. It doesn't go both ways. You can't go out and talk about how how she's been called Becky and that's really upsetting to her, and then also try to be funny about making fun of other racist stereotypes. And again, this is a very fine line that you need to walk on if you want to make like a racial joke when you're not a person of that race. I think Neil Brennan does a really good job with that because he is recognized by the black community as one of the greatest comics, one of the most influential. He co-created Dave Chappelle Show.
Do they talk anymore?
What? I don't know. I think maybe. Probably not. But anyway, regardless of that, I'm just saying that's why I think it doesn't go both ways. That's why I think I would criticize Iggy Azalea there. If you want to make fun of other people's races, some people are going to use the code name Becky and you can't be upset.
You can't. I don't agree with that at all. I think you can be upset when something upsets you, period. I think that she loses credibility to be like the voice of reason in this debate.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that any given statement she makes should be thrown out just because of who she is. I think she has a tougher rhetorical footing every time she says something terrible.
Her past actions, specifically in racial conversations, obviously still has to play an important part in this argument, is what I'm saying.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay. Oh, okay, never mind.
Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and listen to Iggy Azalea music.
It is actually surprisingly good.